Hello, everybody!
Welcome
to another edition of bitLab Live. It is, of course, another wonderful Tuesday here, though it's not so exciting here in New York City. We're in the middle of a nor'easter. But Paul and I are, as always, thrilled to be joining you guys for a very special show that we have today. For those of you who are possibly new to Little Bits, or it's your first time seeing the show, Little Bits is a series of modular electronics. We have this wonderful platform of these individual electronic modules that snap together with magnets. So if I take power, and I take a pressure sensor, and I take a bar graph, and then suddenly...
turn it on.
Oh, and then I turn it on. Thank you, sir. Voila! I have a wonderful working pressure-activated light. And so we have close to 100 modules at this point that range anywhere from buttons and sensors and intelligent programmable modules, and we are rapidly expanding. And one of the ways, and it is sort of one of the ways in which our show here today is focused, that we are expanding is that we have introduced a brand new platform called the bitLab. And the bitLab is our place where we ask for anybody out there in the universe to submit their own idea for a Little Bits module to add to our library. And so it involves submissions and voting and interacting with the community at large because we really want to know what modules you want most. And so, as we say every week, what modules get made are really up to you guys. So we encourage you very strongly to please go onto our website at littlebits.cc/bitlab and please go vote for the modules that you want.
And we're still waiting for some of those intergalactic submissions from the rest of the universe.
Rest of the universe. There is
mostly Earth-bound submissions so far.
So for today's show, we have a very, very, very special guest that we're all of us here at Little Bits are very thrilled to welcome. Massimo Banzi, co-founder of Arduino, will be joining us in just a few moments. We have a wonderful conversation that we're going to be having with him. After that, we will have our weekly trivia, and it's worth noting that we have a very special giveaway this week. In honor of Massimo joining us here, we will be giving away one of our Arduino starter kits. So the Arduino starter kit includes our Arduino module, as well as a number of other bits that you can use to build your very own Little Bits Arduino creations. But before we get to our trivia, I would very, very proudly and happily like to welcome to the show Massimo Banzi, co-founder of Arduino.
Hi.
Hello, Massimo.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Very glad to have you here. We've had a chance to kind of work together a bit in the last year or so, working on the Arduino at Heart program. Very, very happy to have the Arduino at Heart module out there for people to use. So it's really great to have you on the show. We'll talk about some stuff going on with you and with Arduino and some things going on around the world. We do know that there is Arduino Day going to be coming up in the early part of next year, in March, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, so the 28th of March is the second time we celebrate Arduino Day. So this, in 2015, is the 10th anniversary of when we sort of, came up with the name Arduino. So the project has been running for a little bit more, but it's, in March is 10 years that, I came up with the name. And so the project had a name and started to kind of develop from there.
Okay, great. And on Arduino Day, you just have sort of get-togethers around the globe, and people are talking about projects and things that they've created?
Yeah, so Arduino Day is basically, it's a self-organized day where, different communities around the globe, they find a place where to get together. We provide them with some materials to help them organize the day. They have talks, local people talk about how they use Arduino. And then, whoever wants to organize one sends us a proposal for what they do. And if, we think it's going to be a good event, we put it on a global map. So there's a map of the world. Last year we had over 216 events, I think, around the world happening at the same time, which was pretty amazing. There was like 26 events only in Brazil, for example, or 21, I think, in Italy. So it was a interesting thing, and so we think this year is going to be even more people. So.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity. A lot of people doing Arduino projects, maybe communicating a lot in the forums and things like that online, to be able to get together and sort of present their work and talk about it in person.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Last year, one of the official events was at ITP in New York, and so I think this year probably is going to be in Boston.
Okay. A little, okay. We'll leave it at that. Can probably guess the venue. Okay, great. So another thing I saw popping up recently was the new website for Casa Jasmina, the program that you're running. I guess announced it at Maker Faire in New York earlier this year. And so I guess that's kind of officially getting underway, if you want to kind of let people know about that a bit.
Yeah, so the project is slowly coming to life. So just to summarize, is a project that Arduino is doing with the help of Bruce Sterling and Jasmina Tesanovic. The idea is twofold. On one way, to explore the different technology related to the Internet of Things, and specifically in the context of open source. But there have been all these examples of house of the future in the past, and they were all like fake exhibitions. That you walk in, 5 minutes, you walk out. The idea is, what happens when you create an apartment that people can actually spend some time in and experience what it means to live like that. And there's also this other second objective, which is to experiment more on the design side of the concept of open design. So where we have the apartment, there is also a Fab Lab underneath. So the idea is, can we also imagine that we start to experiment a little bit with open design? So the furniture will be open source, so people will be able to make it by themselves if they want to. So to try to explore a different relationship, with the technology and the actual furniture. So at the moment we are refurbishing the apartment, because it's actually part of the apartment is inside the place where we have the office in Torino, which used to be a car factory. So it is, it was part of an office that had been locked since 1978.
Wow.
So when we opened the doors, it was kind of, going back into the past.
Was there good, nice shag carpeting on the floor? And
No, actually, the nice thing is that was a 1940s building, I think. So they had some very nice tiles. Marble tiles, and also it has some very nice wood flooring that they need to be fixed, but they're nice old thick woods, not the thin IKEA stuff that you find now, but a real nice kind of real wood. So there's quite some some nice features to bring out. So we're now completing. We're talking to a number of sponsors right now to help fund the fixing of this, and then we have a whole program of people coming and spending a week and building something. So if you guys want to come over to Torino for a week and build something with little bits in the apartment, you are.
I will actually be in Italy in April, for our honeymoon. That's actually where we're off to.
So then you have to stop by.
I think I might have to stop by.
Sounds like fun.
I have to.
Another question, I guess. When would people start to be able to move in there? Do you have the first batch of people signed up already?
Well, we have a number of people who have asked to be able to come and spend some days doing some work there. So we already have a nice number of people, but we also would like to put it on Airbnb for a little bit. So some weeks will be on Airbnb, because I want people randomly to book it and show up. But at the moment, I think it's something that at some point in February it will be open.
Okay, excellent.
It will take us a month and something to fix it. So I'm thinking more like February.
All right. It sounds like it'll be the premier spring destination in Italy.
Yeah, for open hardware geeks for sure.
Yeah. And so just wondering if there was any, we have some other questions, but as far as Arduino product news, is there anything that you wanted to mention? Any new hardware or any updates to the IDE that people could look out for?
Well, at the moment, for the ones who have followed our kind of developer mailing list, one of the things that we are working on right now is an integrated library manager. So libraries are really powerful in Arduino. So you drop a library into Arduino and suddenly you can build something really complicated. But the problem is that you always have to kind of install them manually. So it was a process that required quite a bit of skills. So we worked at simplifying it a little bit. But now we're taking a further step. And the idea is that the people who have libraries can submit them to Arduino, and then from inside the IDE, you will basically search for a certain library that you might need, and you press a button and it automatically downloads and installs the library from the network. So it's a little bit, I'm not going to call it an app store because it's not an app store. But it's a very simple system where you say, I just got this sensor ABC, I just type ABC, it says, okay, there is this library made by so-and-so, do you want to install it? Yes, and it just installs. So that thing, I think, is going to improve a lot the user experience, and also this is going to help, for example, when we have certain type of boards. If somebody buys a board which is Arduino at heart and don't have any files installed, they will be able to type the name of that board, press a button, and again, all the files you might need to use that board will be downloaded and installed for you. So the idea is to make it simpler for people to be able to find the code they might need or find all the things they need to get started, to reduce the friction, as we say, the time it takes for you to be able to achieve what you want to do.
That's wonderful.
Great. And do you have any sort of timeline on when you want to get that out to folks?
Yeah, it's going to be like a January, February time frame. It's the team is we announced it more specifically to the developers who kind of work on the Arduino software last week, and now we're working at finishing the coding. There's a little bit of a back end part. Also, we need to have a look at the libraries before we include them, because somebody might push a library that will purposely maybe damage your sensor.
Yeah, having to vet those libraries. Yeah, well, that's great. So that's great timing for maybe some folks that are getting Arduino boards and stuff for Christmas. They'll have some easy entry into working with libraries and stuff in the new year.
Yeah, so there's also some work done to improve the quality of the experience on the IDE to make it easy to code. And also we will have more in January. We'll have more news about this new development environment that we're building for Arduino, which is based entirely on HTML5. So the idea is it will be able to run on a website or on a desktop application. But by being HTML5, we can bring the documentation, tutorials, videos, and kind of bring them next to the development environment. So that when you're coding in the same window, you might have a tutorial or a video running. So you can combine the experience of learning or building something and the actual coding in one place.
Well, that's great. So I guess that makes it kind of hardware agnostic. You can run the same IDE on a Mac or a Windows machine or Linux and just have it running out of the browser. That's really cool.
Yeah, also the HTML5 is becoming quite popular as a way to write applications that can run anywhere. You can run it on a tablet, you can run it from a device, so you can point your browser to a Linux-capable device, and the IDE can live in the device itself, so you don't need to download any software to use it. So that's the kind of experience we're going for.
Great.
That's great.
Sounds really exciting. Regarding we were talking about the Internet of Things before in the Casa Jasmina. We've seen a lot of new products that are kind of getting on the edge of maker products and consumer products. Just kind of curious on your thoughts on that, this sort of blurring the lines, I guess, between companies that would typically just put out a consumer product to companies that are starting to put out a consumer product that also has sort of like a maker slant to it. First thing that comes to mind is the Wemo maker from Belkin, which is sort of kind of having its self in sort of both worlds.
Well, I guess, I mean, there have been some studies about the potential impact of like DIY home automation, for example.
Sure.
And people have already estimated that they were talking about, several $1 billion in the US already only. Imagine in the rest of the world. So the idea is that in the home automation space, if you wanna, which is one of the kind of areas where the Internet of Things will be very present. I guess a number of people are going to do it by themselves. They're going to go buy stuff and bring it in. Maybe it's not going to be, not everybody's going to go very low levels and they're not actually physically going to build stuff. But they might want to buy stuff in a shop, like, they go to Best Buy, they buy something, they plug it at home, and then they want to be able to hack it a little bit or modify it or program it. So I guess, the people who have been doing mostly consumer stuff, they're looking at the maker market as a source for ideas, innovation, to enable people to build upon the platform. And the people who have been building very maker-oriented stuff, they understand that in order to increase the amount of people that buy the stuff, they need to become closer to a consumer electronics product, because there are people who might not want to take an Arduino and wires and solder. They want to hack something, but they don't want to become an electronics engineer or something similar. So in a way, there is this hybrid space, and also at the moment, the whole IoT market is very chaotic. There's a consortium that comes out every week and that contains even more and more companies, and they say, don't worry, we got it all figured out for you, just use our software, forget about the others. But in a way, the success of the web, for example, is based on the fact that a lot of people got together and they agreed on a very basic protocol, where the HTTP was from the original days. But in a way, if you look at the browser, HTML, these are all standards that people agreed upon. So now with any browser, you can connect to any server and you don't care. Right now, if you buy a product from company A, it only works with the mobile app from company A, it only connects to the company A servers. And there's already a blog at Tumblr that somebody made of about the Internet of Past things. Don't work anymore because the service is being shut down or something. So there is a lot of work to actually get people to say, okay, let's stop this madness, let's figure out a way to start simple and work together. So at the moment, we don't have the browser of IoT, we don't have the HTML5 of IoT, we don't have the HTTP of IoT.
I will say that, and you use the word chaotic to describe the IoT marketplace. The word I had used was fragmented, and I think both words get us to the same place. But Arduino is interestingly positioned in that so many of the devices themselves end up getting built on top of your hardware. And so I'm curious your thoughts on how you've sort of seen the adoption of something that you were very clearly instrumental in building get adopted in this very rapidly expanding way.
Well, obviously, I'm glad to see people adopting the work that I've done on this kind of platforms. I think one thing that's happening is that a number of people are just sticking kind of the Arduino sort of label on their Arduino compatible, a random Arduino compatible thing on their product. And then when you actually get it, you realize that it doesn't work with the Arduino development environment. It's only like vaguely Arduino style. So I think, some people are trying to build products by checking all the boxes.
Sure.
So it's, Arduino compatible, whatever. We don't need to talk to those people, screw them, and just check. But then in the end, I don't know, it's almost, again, like every time everybody's trying to check all the boxes. Absolutely. But there's still a little bit of being easy to use. being really easy to grasp and be productive with, we're still far away on a lot of these areas. I think an Arduino of the Internet of Things doesn't exist yet. There are some nice attempts, but still there's quite a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I really appreciate talking with you, Massimo. I think we're going to get to our trivia question before we wrap up the show.
I do want to ask you one thing before we go, though. As a lot of people who watch our show are aspiring hardware developers or have just started to become hardware developers. And obviously you've been doing this for quite some time and you've made this your life's work. With all of them watching and watching over the coming weeks, what advice do you have to give to them in terms of how to get started and how to think about their work?
Well, I think you have to experiment. Don't be afraid. Experiment. Be careful when you ask for help, because, for example, if you ask for help to somebody who is a real expert in hardware, they're going to tell you a bunch of really complicated stuff that's going to scare you like crazy. So, just maybe start off with somebody that was a little bit like in your situation and kind of made some steps forward. So, but don't be afraid. There's it seems complicated, but, I learned when I was a kid, just because I tried and tried and tried. And, some of the stuff that you guys are doing, the little bits, is very similar to the kit I used when I was a kid. These magnetic cubes from this German designer. So in a way, you need a platform where you can experiment freely, plug things in, where you don't, and you just build up your knowledge step by step. So experiment a lot. But don't be afraid when people give you really scary advice that seems really complicated. Just ask somebody else that's less scary.
That's great.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Massimo. And just a reminder for everybody, the littlebits Arduino module is out and available now, a collaboration between our two companies. And if you are curious about anything else Arduino related, please go visit the Arduino website at arduino.cc. Massimo Banzi, thank you so much for taking the time for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. So, with that, we have our weekly trivia question. And of course, it is Arduino focused. And the question that we have for you all today is, what is the origin of the name Arduino? And so, if you are the chosen winner, and we'll be posting a section on our forum very shortly for you to fill this out. If you are the chosen winner, you will win yourself an Arduino coding kit. And for those of you who may not remember, the Arduino module, which a diagram is currently displayed here, has a whole slew of different ways in which you can interact, and there are a number of inputs and outputs and serial controllers, and it works with the existing Arduino IDE. It also comes with a number of other modules, and you can build some really incredible things. As an example, if you visit our website and visit our project section, you'll see the Lego pinball machine by our bitLab guru, Philip Verbeek, as well as an animatronics rocks, paper, scissors hand that we built. So please head on over to our forum, and you can submit your answer to the question. We have been contacting previous winners directly, so if you are the winner, please be on the lookout for me. Paul, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we depart this week?
I think that's it. Very fun conversation today with Massimo.
Absolutely.
Answer the trivia. If you've seen Massimo talk, you probably heard the story about the name origins. And that's it. Everybody have a really nice week. It's Tuesday.
It is indeed.
Enjoy.
Be well.